and welcome to another episode of the P114 Filmmakers podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 6. One of your hosts, Jesse Knight.
I'm Randall Lanier.
Tyler Schulte.
Kat Holmes.
And we're here to talk about all things filmmaking. Today we're going to kind of keep it broad, folks. We're going to talk about themes. We're going to talk about characterization. Those kinds of things, which is pretty huge, on any kind of like TV show or film or anything like that. So with something like themes, do you guys kind of like groan like the kids in A Christmas Story when they have to write a theme? It's like, oh, or is it, do you have something that comes to mind when it comes to themes of shows or movies or something like that? What do themes mean to you guys?
Kind of the overall what it is.
Okay.
Like what category you would put it in.
Right. Right.
Like Indiana Jones, that would be like action adventure theme. Like it's
kind of.
like,
Well,
is
it
that
goes
kind of
with
what you
it.
mean?
Well.
More
Like genre? I don't know.
That's more of a genre. Yeah, theme is sort of
is
like.
that like more the message?
The underlying subtext of the
Yeah,
movie.
the underlying subtext of the movie, So let's go to Indiana Jones. That's kind of a very familiar subject. Just with Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's about acquiring something, right? It's all about that. All parties involved are trying to get something, and that thing. What does it represent?
Power.
Power, totally.
Yeah.
In the simplest
Control.
kind of form, power. I had just seen. Have y'all seen the original Poltergeist?
Yes.
I watched it again last night. It was just really fun. What would you say would be the theme in that? At its heart.
Family?
Yeah.
Pretty much family.
I mean,
right?
I would say so.
They're just
For sure, it's all built on that relationship.
Although they're
Yeah.
young, their older daughter wasn't really in there very much.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean.
And it was kind of interesting seeing how like the different members of the family almost represented different kinds of things. Like the youngest daughter, kind of represented this sort of purity, this angelic kind of figure, where her sister wasn't like that at all. Her sister knew where the hotel was and all that kind of stuff.
What happened?
Right, and sort of playing off that polarity. The little brother was kind of a jerk, right? He wasn't a nice way. I'm sure he's fine, normal kid, but a little bit jerky, a little bit just with how he's, playing around and stuff. And the people didn't want to keep him, did they? They wanted to kill him, really. The tree was swallowing him. He's going to a dark place. She was going to a light place. So you could talk about like themes of good and evil, themes of family, that kind of stuff. What else?
Well, I mean, there's like each episode of a television show seems to have a theme during it. I've noticed that more and more because I've seen reviews of TV shows and they go into that theme where well, in this episode it's more about finding something or whatever type thing. Because if they have a plot or a B plot in it, both plots are separate, but they are aligning to go do something or whatever, like some sort of thing is happening at the same time,
Right.
Whatever that may be. But that's what when you said theme, that's what that sparked in my head about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example.
I especially think of like 80s like sitcoms and stuff like that. Like we were talking about the other episode, like a special. Now we're having a special episode. Generally, those are like a high theme kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Drugs or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Drunk driving, whatever.
Totally. Like I was thinking of Tom Hanks on Family Ties, who was an alcoholic, and he's like downing bottles of maraschino cherries and stuff in their house.
Thinking there's alcohol in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the theme of the episode. But that takes you're thinking sitcoms in a way. I was thinking of drama shows.
Sure.
A bleak plot. That's what I was thinking. That's when you said, because they usually have, like I said, two plots at least in a hour-long episode, and they are a theme each. They don't look the same. They're not the same theme. It's not the same concept. I mean, if somebody's looking for something in one plot, the other plot, somebody's not looking for something, but they're looking for. I mean, they're not looking for the same person.
Sure.
But whatever. I
Could you cite an example?
That's what I'm trying to think of.
Like even cop shows, X-Files.
I mean, this is I watched This Is Us.
Oh, okay.
But I believe it's a really good show. I like the beginning of it because they really put everything together.
Mm-hmm.
But they do have a lot of that where it's just like a plot. Let's see, I'm trying to think of. Well, they do have completely episodes about one kind of thing, but then they they're like the last episode was about one of the people on there. She grew up and she would love to dance, and it wound up being that she couldn't continue on, or her mother took her with dancing away from her training or whatever type thing to be a dancer, and then she became later on in the episode. She had lost her job. This is an older woman. She's probably in her 30s, whatever, or late 30s, and she as later you see flashbacks of that. Then later on, she instead of finding a job that's like the other job she had, she wants to become a dance instructor or whatever type thing. But that's the theme of the whole episode. It's not like separate themes, but they do have. I'm trying to think of what. Y'all could talk. I'm just trying to.
I'm gonna take care of a red light. Keep
Theme's
going.
hard.
Yeah.
Really think about the message.
Right.
Kat, you're good at this. Go ahead.
You're not good at it, actually.
She's always good about everything. Go ahead.
Try sometimes. It fails, usually. I think the horror movies right now are getting more themed. Like their Get Out had the theme of racism, and it worked with the horror.
Right.
It was really well done.
And it was kind of a different way of looking at it. You know, they took seemingly like liberal-minded folk, but totally flipped the script on it. So it was it was funny. It was a good joke. You know, it was neat.
I had such a good experience with that movie because I went with my brother to a theater. You're supposed to meet this girl, and she wanted to see that dumb movie, A Dog's Purpose, or whatever. I was like, let's not see that. So we went and saw Get Out, but it was in a sketchy theater, like really sketchy. So it just added more of the scary factor. And I swear I was so scared.
Right.
But I had a good time with that. I just want to say that.
I'm curious to see his new movie.
What's it? It's called Us?
Yeah.
Us. It's its own thing, though, right? It's not a tie or.
No, it's
about
completely
fighting
original.
yourself. How you're your own worst enemy.
I know a lot about that. Yeah. That's for sure. That's a good theme.
That is a really good thing.
Yeah.
And it's one you don't often see or really think about.
No, but you could totally like nail it in movies like Gollum, like he's kind of his own worst, you know, and literally like when he's arguing with himself too.
Does anyone else have like a second self? Because I have regular me, and then I have a really calm Southern lady.
I do.
I have a wild side probably. If I get out of hand.
Yeah, you've got a couple selves.
I have a a world conqueror wrapped up real tight inside. You know, I always have to like say, okay, put the sword down, calm down. Here's a chicken leg. Go over there.
I have voices talking to me too in my brain. Is that the same thing? I have voices talking to me in my brain. Is that the same thing?
Actually, what we're talking about, like, no, but they cover that kind of situation in this movie. There's a John Cusack movie. I can't remember the name of it, but the whole premise is a spoiler here. Sorry, but the whole thing is like there's this one guy being interviewed in like a prison or something.
Identity,
and it deals with that whole thing. Like, and you're on this long story, and all these different characters are there, but then it ends up.
That's a good movie. Y'all should watch that.
They're all. I'm sorry, this is a spoiler, but they're all like different parts of this guy's person. They're all personalities inside his
all
head.
these people are meeting up at this hotel. Sorry, I had to take over.
Yeah.
This motel, and everybody in this sort of scenario is pieces of his brain or pieces of his personality.
Yeah.
You don't know that until like later on.
I thought it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was really
I
good.
thought it was really neat, and I did not see it coming. Sorry, guys. You won't have that same.
Yeah, that's kind of a spoiler. I'm sorry.
We'll just use one of those, Men in Black things at the end of the episode. You guys will be fine.
Perfect. Do you have one of those? Can I use them on the guy that gave me a ticket today?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh man, that's such a great idea for everybody should have one, right?
Yeah, that would be kind of a fun topic. Like, what movie did someone spoil
Yeah.
that you got mad because you didn't want to know.
Right.
You know.
Oh, I think we're onto something here. What if there's a movie called Spoilers would hit really well? You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you can base it off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can kind of dovetail in sort of the next sort of thing we're talking about, and talking about themes, and also the importance of characterization in movies and stories and stuff like that. I myself find that that's what's one of the driving points of me even getting into a movie or something.
Oh, that's
I've got to
hands
find
down
something to
why
hang
I'm
on to.
invested in the Marvel universe. You know, it's the character development. Like you literally see these characters. You know, so 22 movies in. You know, growing. You know, and if you break it out, it is kind of the same formula. You know, there's a bad guy, fight the bad guy. You know, but like it's
That's
just,
comics.
yeah, but it's just the character development, which
Yeah.
like there's this one guy that when I was having a tour at Liberty University, with his dad, he was like, I don't get the Marvel movies, you know, they're all the same thing. He was dissing them, and I was sitting there thinking, it's like, no, there really is more to it. I mean, I get you think it's the same thing every time, but it's the character development. I mean, Tony and Spider-Man, like, it's a father-son thing, you know, and it's heartbreaking, you know, spoilers, you know, when he dies, because literally Homecoming, there's a scene that foreshadows it, you know, he's like, if you die, that's on me, and I don't want that, you know, like, it's just the character, you know.
Did you ask that guy how many Marvel movies he'd seen?
Yeah, and he was like 3, and I was like...
Because I would also laugh if he kept seeing more and more and more.
Right.
It's like, why are you still
I just
going?
remember he was dissing on Infinity War when because he was like, I don't get all the hype, it's just the same thing, and I was like, it's 20...
Yes, but it's slightly different.
I was like, it's like the 22nd movie in the series.
But almost that's a key indication that someone doesn't really want to think too much about
Yeah.
it. You know, and it's just the hype. Well, you can say that about anything. And a lot of people, as we know online, are going to say that about everything.
Yeah.
You know.
But I'll be honest with you, those movies, if the character development was bad, I don't think I'd be
It'd be hard to
invested as
latch
much.
on, right?
Yeah, because like the fights, you know.
Well, they wouldn't have had 22 movies coming
Exactly.
out either. The audience would stop going or whatever type thing. And there's got to be something to it, you know.
Right.
Because you got that many movies. Now, granted, it's not the same characters in every movie, and there's not, you know, that there's also themes in the different movies or whatever. But they're all part of the same universe. So there's got to be something to them to have that many come out, you know, over a period of time, and people flock to them.
I mean, I'll just say, like, I was like really sad, like it's so ridiculous, but you know, when Groot dies in the first Guardians, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm crying over a raccoon crying about his tree friend dying because the character development was so well done, and I'm just sitting there thinking, what is wrong with me? You know, I never would have thought that, you know, but that's because, you know, the character development's really well.
Well, see, I mean, I'm flipping over really quick about This Is Us. This Is Us is always a running joke by a lot of people. Is that it always makes you definitely the first couple of seasons, every episode made you cry, and I will admit, I don't care what I say. I did cry a lot of situations, not because you know, it's not a soap opera. It's not. That's the thing about it. I would not watch a soap opera. I don't like soap operas. I don't like that writing of soap operas or whatever type of thing.
Right.
And if it was that kind of thing, I would have stopped watching it.
Melodrama,
yeah. But I did cry. I mean, it's kind of hold back now. They don't do as much as that and trying to make you cry as much every episode. But there are themes in it that make you cry, whether it connects you with somebody that you know or somebody that happened to.
Are there also ongoing, like, long sort of sub-stories that carry through that the more you find out about it can kind of...
Right, yeah, because you know, each time you don't know everything about this character. And, but like you said, I mean, I'm sitting here crying over fictional characters as with the situation that's so fictional. It's fictional.
That's what we all hope. You know, as filmmakers, wouldn't we all like to be able to do that to other people?
I mean, I got really emotional with, and I don't even really wasn't invested with the Harry Potter movies. You know, I was like, I wasn't really hyped for them or anything. But when I watched that last movie, you know, that emotion of like when they think Harry's dead, and what's his name, Neville. Is like doing that motivational speech. And then Harry just comes back and shoots. Like you just feel that impact of that rush, you know, and it's like it's not over.
Speaking of that, sorry to
Yeah.
just I know you all want to don't mean to, but Harry Potter, similar to Marvel Universe, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, I don't know why people would a bunch of kids throwing
Sure.
waving stuff or sticks around, but no, I don't. I mean, I watched the first movie and I saw one of the middle movies, and I just never got into it. But I don't sit there and say I don't understand it. But I know there's a series of movies. There's been a number of movies. Again, people flock to them to go see them. People have conventions over them and everything like that now, and everything's. And I don't, but I appreciate that sense of that.
Right.
I mean, people got like I said, the sense. I mean, I was a comic book fan or comic book reader and everything for years as a kid. I can't. Any kind of nerdy genre, I can't say, why do you don't like that? That sucks. But, I was a nerdy kid that loved comic books for years, where I was against the grain of everybody else,
Right.
being jocks and everything like that. So I've just, I'm the last one to be saying, but I appreciate the movies for themselves, even though I didn't get into them. So
And I think about, even going to the MCU, when I'm asked to remember plots of the movies and stuff, sometimes that kind of, it's hard for me to pull that stuff up, but when I can think of like a flavor of a character like Tony Stark, I mean, that kind of carries through all the movies. You kind of like that energy, you want that to continue. There's an actor we were talking about earlier, Goldblum. Every time you see him, he's almost makes you smile.
Oh yeah.
Because he kind of plays those kind of characters.
Especially when he says Asgard.
Yeah. And Ragnarok, yeah, that's right.
You gotta go back to Asgard?
Asgard. Yeah, and they have that build-up. TV shows are good because you have so much time.
To build.
If you got a good character, you can really.
The Walking Dead did a good job with
going.
that. Like, I mean, they've killed all my favorite characters now, but
right.
when they, they built the when Glenn, when he gets hit in the head, and his eyes halfway up,
Yeah.
he's like just spoiler. He's just yelling at Maggie. I was like, I don't want to be honest. I was kind of trying to look away. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's a little hard to look at. Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
oh, because they're just well done. He's the character development between him and Rick just staying
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like you said, that comes down to character probably. Because like you said, your story could be so bad, but if your characters are really
I wonder if characterization leads to, and I guess maybe, I don't know. Actors are still pretty big, certain actors, and we have waves of ones of popularity, and they it's sort of like waves. They come in, popular, and then recede. Other people come in, and sometimes they come back, and that's a good movie.
Speaking of character, How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, hold that thought. The thing is, people love these actors, but they love the characters they play, because of how they make them feel in the movies and that kind of stuff. They're not hanging out with these people outside of that. They don't know them.
You're exactly right.
But you sort of think, but people, it's hard for us to separate that. So we approach, it's actors get mobbed by people because of their characters, usually, or, because of paparazzi misadventures and stuff like that, they'll kind of maybe plug them. But usually it's the characters they play.
That's why Harrison Ford, gets annoyed when people ask him about Solo.
Right.
Because it's like people just don't know that they just think that's Solo, Han Solo,
That's one of the characters of many played,
It's like. No,
I mean, I will probably, if I ever met him, Indiana Jones is going to come up probably.
Same, I would say indeed. Which you probably like that because it'd be refreshing.
Oh, when I was a little kid,
I go even better and be like, I loved you in Sabrina, man.
Yeah.
It was the best.
He might even know like that because I've talked to when I went to conventions, comic book conventions or whatever, I would go to the table, and this is of course not movie stars, but just like writers or artists or whatever type thing, and said I'd go to them and say I didn't go for their high, they're big, a big writer for Spider-Man or whatever. They say I loved your run on whatever, something else that was really kind of obscure, yeah. And that's you got kind of like they kind of. You'd be surprised and start wanting to talk to you or whatever because they've heard so much people saying I love Spider-Man and whatever, and then talk about something obscure they did, and then it works better than that regard.
Oh yeah.
To talk to them.
For sure.
I was gonna say about How to Train Your Dragon, that movie's obviously like it's a kid's movie, you know.
Right.
But I can watch it still excited at 20, you know.
Yeah.
Because the duo between him and the dragon, you know.
Oh yeah.
That relationship, it's so good. Like it's just makes you smile, you know.
I get it. Like I can still watch Muppet Christmas.
Yes.
My mom loves it.
You know,
Mhm.
Christmas Carol. I can watch the old Disney Robin Hood. Love it. And Sword and Stone. Love it. You know, there's some stuff that still works.
It's just
like the Jungle Book.
And the Jungle Book's great,
Jungle
you know.
Book.
And you remember little words they say, and you think about it often.
I could still basically
you know.
sing the "I Want to Be Like You" song.
Oh,
because I
yeah.
know the words of the song.
Yeah.
like I'll
But,
just like I said, one of the shots I love in How to Train Your Dragon is like, 'cause I recently watched it and I remember it just took me away. Is they take out the big dragon and you know if the fire's exploding and he gets undone from the dragon and he just falls. It's like that white shot and the music's just spot on, you know.
Right.
I know the score.
The score is so good in that movie. Like I can't even get over how good it is. But you know he's falling, you know, and the dragon can just leave, but he just decides to go back down, and it just goes black. It's like every time that happens, I'm like, oh, my heart.
What are
Like,
you doing to me?
It just gets me every time, and I've watched the movie so many times, but it's just
Like from the Grinch, where your heart's
Yeah.
One
It's
like
so
that
powerful.
too. You know, going back to Lord of the Rings, but you know, Fly You Fool. I just get a rush.
Oh, I know.
And then they're like, oh God, no, no. And then all that whole from that moment all the way through, all the way down the stairs, all the way out. My heart is just like
Even
know.
when you know he's coming back, if you watch him,
Yeah.
it's still every time.
Oh man, that movie will get you.
But I do
What
love.
gets me is later in the "I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you."
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that or the end in Return of the King where he's
Oh,
like
my
you
friends,
bow
you bow
to
to
no
no
one.
one.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
God.
God. Just
Yeah,
like,
that
just like
that was
I gotta
that
leave
did
real
give me
quick.
that scene. That did give me that when he
Yeah.
said you
Oh
bow
my
to no one.
You get it. You get it.
Yeah, I gotta leave real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Something in the eye.
Cut to Tyler Crock in the bathroom.
Bye.
Cut to all of us in the bathroom crying. Empty room, you know, crickets. Then we're back.
I mean, I don't really cry, but I get to where I'm like just so happy. Like I was so happy when I saw that first Avengers movie because I was real young, you know, and I felt these movies like dead on. Like I was like watching everything, just to see that one shot where it pans around and they're all together as a team.
Yeah, that got me.
Yeah.
I was in the
Yeah,
theater.
yeah.
I was just like, my dad looked at me. I remember he was like, isn't this great? I was like, because it does that music, the score.
Yeah.
Oh, it just took me away.
That was
It gets you.
straight
The
from
emotion.
that was like a combo panel
Right.
come to life or whatever.
And then he tells him to Hulk smash. I was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was
Oh my
like-
God, that got me.
right?
too.
That's
Like-
just it's just like, is this really
Well, see,
happening?
what started was Captain America started giving orders, and
Right.
that's Avengers right there. That was like he's getting
Yeah.
call it, and then like he
Telling
started,
him what-
okay, you do this, you do that, whatever, whatever, and I'm
The
like,
point.
oh my God, Captain America's giving orders, and I'm like, because I thought it would be a Tony Stark, he'd be leader, and all
Yeah.
And that's not
I get it.
Avengers. And then I was like, then when he said Captain, you call it, I'm like, and he started doing this and doing that. I'm like, oh my God. And then was,
Well, it makes sense. He's military.
Yeah.
He's trained to do.
and
That's what he
then
does.
then he told Hulk to smash, and
He
that was
shows-
the icing on the cake.
smash.
It was
With
just
that-
like, it was just like,
That the classic grin he just makes,
yeah,
and then he flies up.
yeah.
I remember I was with me and my dad and my friend and his dad. And his dad's name is Oren. Oren is a Hulk fan. Like this
Yeah.
guy walks around with the gloves and
Oh,
beat
yeah.
us to death.
I had-
But Hulk loves it. You know, he was freaking out. Like,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, that emotion, man, was powerful.
Mhm.
I mean, I could feel everybody around me too. There was like like,
Yes.
this whole,
I had a theater where
Yeah.
it was the
Like
one time where I had a theater
like-
where people were screaming and engaging,
Yeah.
and it was kind of fun. I enjoyed it.
It is good.
Yeah.
I
I
like
liked
that.
it.
If they're engaged in there, if they're not on the phone talking to people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
those people
This wasn't,
kick them out.
yeah,
Like, they were
this
all
didn't
like,
happen at that showing.
Kick his
of
asshole.
Avengers. That was
Everybody's laughing. It's
Great.
Yeah, I like that. Sometimes film festivals can be that way. The bigger ones, you know,
Oh,
smaller ones are fun, but generally people are really polite, quiet through stuff. But bigger ones where you got like 300 people watching it or 500 people watching
It's
it.
just it's something
And
so
it's some
powerful
kind of
where
energy
everybody
going,
is
yeah.
all on the same page and
Mhm.
everybody is feeling it, you know.
Yeah, it's
and everybody's
nice.
in it.
Woo! Yeah,
Right,
You're holding
like,
on a.
I will laugh
That's
though. When I saw a video where people were cheering, you know, when Tony's fighting Thanos.
Right.
But spoiler, you know, when Thanos stabs him, instantly just stopped. Like it just went like that.
Yeah.
And I giggled a little bit because I was
yeah.
like, oh, y'all gonna laugh again?
Right. You know,
It's just that powerful.
it's a visual symphony in a way, you know, and that's, you know, your hope is to make these things is you want to affect people emotionally.
And I think,
in some kind of
bottom
way.
line, I think that's what film is all about. Is like
Yeah.
you want to share like that emotion, like you feel with your own stories. You know,
Yeah.
how you feel, and you like. I get excited with my own story. I'm feeling how I'd feel. Like you just want to share it so people can get that same reaction.
Yeah,
You know?
you can just play into that very simple thing. I think that we all got maybe that kind of want to succeed, want to win, or you know, that kind of thing. It's just trying. Then we get caught up into that character trying to go for it. You know.
Yeah.
Because we can live out our fantasies that way. You know, by watching it. Pretty neat.
We just love to see the hero, you know, win.
Right.
Get the
So,
victory.
what happens when it doesn't work out so well? Let's flip the coin here.
Shoot.
What
It's-
happens?
it's-
What constitute? What are the
You mean
problems?
Batman,
We
Robin?
don't really need to. I mean, we can't. Trying to avoid without bashing a movie so much for itself and just saying it sucks. But what critically, what can we say about like what might add to at least our own personal selves why something might kind of fail or crash and burn? You know. For us, for the individual. It can be
course.
somebody who loves it, but it's like,
Yeah.
wow, are you crazy?
I think it also depends on like the movie. If you're watching a movie for the first time and it's a movie not based on a book, not based on characters outside anyway,
It's its own thing.
it's just its own thing.
Right.
Somebody came and wrote it down, wrote a script for it, and
Right.
went to. It's hard. It's kind of hard to necessarily. Maybe the writing could be bad for it, or maybe the person who wrote it for it. It's hard to kind of bash something that's. Doesn't take
because
you don't know the
steps,
characters,
you don't have
know.
the insides.
You
you
don't
just
have
have
any-
the final movie to look at.
Right. So I think I think a lot of people can appreciate that better. Movie coming out of nowhere. But if you know the characters, like maybe if it's a bad superhero movie or whatever, or a bad based on a book. If you watched read the book and watched the movie, you could kind of say, okay, that wasn't like the book,
Right.
but
Which is why I don't read. So the movie's always great.
Oh, sometimes I can separate myself, but even though I've read all the Harry Potter books, and so in the last where you were super hyped because Harry comes back and does the fight, I was like, seriously? Because I knew what happened in the book and it was epic. And then to have that,
See, this is why I don't
where
read.
they're just throwing these little streaks of lightning back and forth, and I'm like, no, this sucks.
That's why reading is bad, kids. It ruins the movie experience.
Well, no, as a filmmaker, then I'm like,
I
I'm
will
gonna
say,
make that.
though,
I'm gonna make it,
my
and I'm
mom
gonna do it the
read
right
me-
way.
Read me the first Narnia when I was young.
Oh yeah.
And when I saw that,
Yeah.
it looked how I visualized it.
Right.
That's one of the rare ones. Like
Right.
it did actually. I was like, that's pretty spot on.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
very
liked
rare.
the Narnia books. Those are good.
Well, I watched the Da Vinci Code, which I'm not sure if y'all watched that, but
Vinci.
right after reading the book, because the book was popular, and I read the book, and then I went to go see it. Like I just finished it, an hour later I went to go see the movie. So it was fresh in my mind, so I could say, ooh, that sucks, and that doesn't, whatever do. It actually was pretty good, and the only problem with what it was the character of the one. I can't think of the name of the character or the actress who played her, but she was in it, and her character in the book was so much better. And the movie unfortunately she had to play the dumb one.
Audrey Tautou.
Yeah. She had to play the dumb one where she had to be explained, she had to play us basically as an audience.
And she's not that. She's very smart. And
In the book, she's really
intelligent.
intelligent. Like I said, what's on her mind, and she's she solves some of the stuff too. It's not just the main character.
Right.
And she solves, and so you're kind of like she plays us, the dumb one, because we gotta have it explained to us as the audience what's going on. So unfortunately, that kind of fell through, and that kind of disappointed me on that. But as much as the rest of the movie goes, it kind of was pretty good with the book. A lot of people didn't like the movie, but I thought it was a pretty good movie. But
Did they do the follow-up?
Well, see,
Angels and Demons.
Oh yeah.
technically, Heroes and Demons came out before Da Vinci
This is
Code. It just wasn't as big as a hit as Da Vinci Code was.
Right.
But I hadn't read either one of that book. But yeah, they did Heroes and Demons. I watched that. I didn't like that movie at all. I didn't read the book either. But
Silence of the Lambs and that stuff, those were books first, right?
Yeah.
And so you have something like that, already solidified piece of literature and variants of that same story. Now we've got like 3 variants really of that kind of stuff. You got Manhunter, actually 4. You got Manhunter, you've got just like Visions.
Yeah.
And you have the next director, who did Ted Demme? Did he do the Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah.
And then
Jonathan Demme.
Jonathan Demme, yeah. And that was like its own. Everybody loved that movie when it came out. Really,
The book
if you
is
haven't
okay.
seen it, you should check
The
it
book
out.
is okay. I did read the book after I'd seen the movie.
Okay, right.
It was okay. There's a little bit of extended stuff, in it or whatever. I
Right.
think there's a little bit of change up, but I think I like the movie better.
Right.
But,
Right, and then you got Ridley Scott's version. We don't have to talk about that very much. And then you got the TV show. Which it's its own thing. It's got its own. It's done now, or I think canceled, unfortunately, or something like
years
that.
ago now. It's been
it
years
fell
now.
apart at the end anyway, but it was really good, brilliant in some ways, and it had a cult following and stuff. So different ways to look at it. You got the book, then you've got all these variants of that too, and they all got to work in their own way. I think Manhunter actually. Decent
I
movie
like
by Michael
Manhunter.
Mann.
I like Manhunter better than Red Dragon.
Right.
The one that
Yeah.
who I can't remember who directed it, but
Right.
but the one with I can't think of his
Guy
name.
from The English Patient.
No. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of movies, I remember when I was young, I saw Aragon,
Oh yeah, I hadn't seen that.
and it has that teaser where it's like the next movie,
Right.
and I'm still
Didn't
waiting.
never.
And
I heard
it's-
it.
Yeah.
Well, somebody.
That director has never worked again.
Why?
Oh.
I
'Cause
heard.
it was so bad.
Yeah,
Really?
I heard people didn't.
I watched when I was young, and I liked
they had
it, so I have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Right.
I just remember being as a kid, I was like, where's the next one? Like, it inspired me almost to read the book.
Huh.
Like, I remember I got it from the library,
Those are long.
I looked
Right.
at it,
And
Right.
That
you're
way-
like 600 pages,
and
never
I went,
mind.
nah, it's too long.
Right.
But it had
But
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I heard like somebody who had read the book and watched the movie, and they were just like throwing really, I mean, just like everything, so much hate all over that
Right.
movie, whatever. Like I said, I hadn't read anything.
Yeah,
I'm just
watch
saying
it.
they were
Yeah.
just like throwing.
Right.
There is a movie that exists that was based off of a book that is better in movie form, and it's The Princess Bride.
Ah,
Oh.
that's a
Because
great
the
movie.
book is broken up in a way that is difficult to make sense in your
Right.
mind, and also the character of Buttercup, the way Robin plays her is a stronger, better character.
I will say this, for a movie that surprised me, and I thought it was going to be so bad. I remember I was a big fan of the Dire Wimpy Kid books,
Mhm.
and I remember I watched the movie, we rented it, and it's still but I will say, it kind of pulled it off for a little bit. Like, it honestly wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But, yeah, it surprised me. I was like, oh, I kind of liked it.
I think another thing with Princess Bride, the actors and the way things were done was so. You can't put that in book form. I mean, just some of that
Is that with Anna Hathaway?
No, Robin Wright,
I think-
What's she in?
Patinkin.
What's the princess movie
That's
she's
the
in?
Princess
Diaries.
But
Those
the
are
way
the Marvel
the
universe.
actors play,
Princess Bride's
I
great.
think there's a lot of improv scenes in that movie, or whatever, and they just like.
And then
It's
Billy
like-
Crystal.
I
Yeah.
almost venture to say it's kind of close to what some of us would call a perfect movie in some respects. I love that movie.
It's so
Right.
charming.
What was it? Sharon, his name, the guy, the Italian.
Mhm.
That's inconceivable.
Oh,
Wallace
yeah,
Shawn.
yeah,
Wallace
yeah.
Shawn, yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious, And then
Oh,
Andre the
scene
Giant
between
in the
him and-
movie, he was awesome.
And
Yeah.
the delivery, the pace of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it has its own
Yeah.
It's
movement.
poetry. Yeah.
Mm. I don't
Yeah.
think you can put that on paper or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the major respect for having them do their own, that big long fight scene
Yeah.
and having
Mhm.
to train for all those
Mhm.
months.
delivering all that
And
monologue.
I
while
haven't
it's
seen
going on.
anything that good
Yeah.
Oh, it's
after that.
wonderful. Yeah, no, there isn't. That's the most intelligent sword fight I've ever seen. Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah.
And so funny. It's just the perfect blend of
Yeah.
humor and action.
Yeah.
Yeah. You haven't seen it?
I've seen it once.
Okay.
I thought it was I was like, yeah.
Right on, you know.
I'm weird.
Watch
I
it
swear I can never be a
You're just-
movie
you're just
reviewer
weird. Get out of here.
because
We're gonna-
people will be
we'll
like,
talk a little more.
"You're an idiot," and I'm just honest.
No,
I'll be like,
no,
you know,
yeah,
like
no, that's
certain
No, I
things
mean, you
get me.
can, like, just like,
Certain movies I'm like, "Oh,
Sometimes,
I'm not gonna-
sometimes things grow on
I'm
you.
not
Like when I first saw Gladiator in the theater, I was like, eh. Then I got the DVD, got all into it, watched it like a bajillion
Yeah.
times. I'm like, okay, I kind of like that movie. You know, more than that, but you know, it can
like,
happen.
I surprise myself. Like some movies, I'm like, they're like, "You like that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I liked it." You know, and some are like, "You hate that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just wasn't feeling it."
I know what you mean.
You know?
I
There's-
really love David Lynch's Dune. Not a lot of people say that.
Ooh.
I like this.
Yeah, you're one of the few.
Is that with The Rock?
No. This was made
Dune.
in probably like 82.
Oh,
Dune.
you said Doom.
No.
I was like, that's.
I had that
I don't
conversation
know
with somebody
anybody-
before, and they thought I said the same
I was
thing.
like,
Dune.
Dune.
D-U-N-E.
Can we just say
They're doing a remake.
if they
Yeah.
did Doom right,
Mhm.
like the game,
Right.
oh, you'd be a kick.
It could be fun. Yeah.
The game
Yeah.
is so good. The story is crazy.
Right.
I don't know how they messed
They
it up.
didn't really.
Should've
Yeah.
put that
They
on the
just.
list.
That's already on my list.
A bunch of people that. Oh, that's a good game. Let's make a movie with it. It's got first-person stuff, so we'll do that for like 10 minutes.
I don't get it though. If we can talk about video game movies
Sure.
real quick,
Why not?
I don't get why it's so hard. Just make about the story.
Here's the problem when you get into, I assume this could be the problem. When you get into major franchise stuff, first you have
Yeah.
a corporation that's in control of that game. They're in control of everything about it.
Yeah.
And then you have a movie company or production company or studio that's in cahoots with them. Another group of people who are business people.
Mm-hmm.
They're both. You have these two conglomerates interested in making money. You know, it depends. You know, if the creative forces behind the game
So
were
it's
still in
constantly-
charge of the story. Yeah, you know,
Okay.
we don't know because we can't see
Yeah.
inside those rooms. But oftentimes, a lot of stuff gets watered down. Like, for instance, I really loved the animated Eon Flux. It was the most alien, strange-looking thing I'd seen, and that's what I like about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want it to be this sort of safe place. You know,
Yeah.
it's an adventure. You know, it's a completely alien world with all these weird people and things going on that I'm not meant to understand. That's kind of what I liked about it. They make the movie, and I don't want to knock it, but they borrowed some. It is like what's in the cartoon and stuff, but they just took all of the fascinating things out of it, all the strangeness out of it. They made it really, really boring and plain. I think the same actors who were in it could have pulled off, you know, what the cartoon was about, but it didn't have any edge to it. They took away the edge of that whole story, and that just killed it. I was just like, this is lame. You know, kind of like that Ultraviolet movie, you know, it kind of is along those lines. It's just like, I don't like watching this. And the cartoon's like, my God, give me more of this strange world, you know. And it's like, nope.
Guess it makes sense because I just see follow the story that made the game great.
Yeah.
Don't do the first person and try to make it like a game because then you'll fail. Like,
You can have some shots like that, but that's not what it should
some of
be
the
about.
games, you know, the cinematics are great. Just follow the cinematics.
Talking about video games, I've said it to you guys a bunch, so sorry for the broken record, but Silent Hill did a pretty good
Yeah.
job with that. The first Resident Evil, not a bad job.
Yeah, no.
You know.
I don't mind the Resident
okay.
Evil movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a gamer because I don't take video games at all.
Right.
But the Resident Evil movies, at least,
Yeah.
I watched the first like 3 or 4 really
Yeah.
in a row because I was watching them and
Yeah.
they were there at the time I was watching it, and I like the continuing story. I mean, I like how it was continuing a story where a lot of horror movies or any movie genre or movie series says 2 years later or whatever type thing. But these were actually continuing the story from when they ended it to continuing on or whatever type thing, and that's why I kind of like continuing stories. I think that's why I liked comic books and everything like that. Was continuing story for that.
What happens next?
And
Game's coming.
yeah, and I like you know, that's why I definitely like shows or, you know, movies that have like you just said something
Subplots
going on,
yeah.
subplot going on in the background that maybe throw in a little bit of
might
it in
tie
each
in at the end
episode.
to be
Yeah.
the, part.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like just like, I mean, I think that's why I just, you know, grew up in with comics or whatever, because it was a continuing story, you know.
Right.
That's what prompted me to keep on going or whatever with it, where stuff that's, you know, like crime shows don't do anything for me anymore.
Same. I'd never.
No crime shows
got
do
into
it for me. It's just
all the
like,
same.
yeah, it's just like,
Mhm.
we get, you know, we gotta get a bad guy at the end,
Right.
da, da, da. And the funny thing about it is, and this has nothing to do with our theme, but anyway, the crime shows now, they don't even do stuff that when I was a kid watching it with my dad was into the crime shows or whatever. They used to have a chase at the end, like a major chase and car chase or this or that, or the guy's running after him and just like dun, 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 dun.
Right.
Now they don't even have those in shows anymore. I think the budgets for these shows aren't what they used to be, so they don't have they don't have
I don't think
they'll just
you're
say,
right, I don't think there
oh,
is.
the police got the guy, or like CSI though, the NCIS shows where they're the Navy intelligence or whatever. They'll say, oh, the local police got the guy. Okay, cool. And that's the end of the episode. I'm like, what?
I have to say, maybe a little bit counter to it, and I agree with you guys. I agree with that. But True Detective's got sort of a different feel to it. Love it or hate it, but it is an attempt to make it different. It revolves around the lives of these detectives and their cases and stuff, but there's at least something interesting going on. It falls more along the lines of like Silence of the Lambs. You got an interesting killer or it's this thing, that's this kind of interesting sort of thing going on. Yeah. But like Perry Mason, I don't think we can do another. I don't know. Maybe it could work again.
I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to be. I think they're going to try to come out with another show, but it's going to be, I think, on one of the streaming services. So it might be all right because they're not going to be tied to this network stuff or whatever, where they can't do this or that or whatever type thing. I think it's going to be. I heard somewhere where Robert Downey Jr. is trying to get that together or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It could show you maybe that formula could eventually damn something that it's a part of, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen those old episodes of Perry Mason where it's just like
I like Perry Mason. It's the same thing every time.
Every time he'd get somebody on it kind of. I'm sorry for bringing old stuff up because but like Matlock, the show Matlock with Andy Griffith. I love Andy Griffith. Sure. I love the Andy Griffith show. Matlock just didn't really fly because every episode was like, he got him at the end. Every episode of Matlock and Perry Mason too, because I realized that when every episode ended with them questioning a suspect on the stand, and they break them down, and so the person admits, yes, I did the crime, I killed that person or whatever, and then it cuts to the jury saying, not guilty, and the person who they're defending, and I'm like, but they don't say anything about the person who just admitted to what they do, what they did or whatever. Right. So what happened to them?
Yeah. Oh, what killed me about Perry Mason too was like, well, what does Perry do? He just stands up at the end and says a few words, and his show's named after him. But it's his assistants.
Yeah,
his assistants are doing all the work, getting in trouble, sneaking into places, doing all the grunt work, and then it's like, well, it's all Perry Mason. Like, wait a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. And they do at the end, the person gets off and gets, thank you, Mr. Matlock. That kind of thing. It's the same thing every time, and every episode is like that. It's just like, I did it, and then cut to we found a person not guilty, and then it's like, okay, what happened to that guy who just admitted that he did the murder? But sorry about the guy.
Well, Andy Griffith's show at least had something different each show. It was crazy.
They had more adventure and more fun to
How did you feel about Columbo?
Now, I will admit, I've seen a little bit of Columbo. The reason why I watched Matlock, I know Matlock and Perry Mason, because my parents watched those shows a lot. So I was around them for a little bit of time during the time. So that's why Columbo is interesting. Columbo is interesting, the episodes I've seen of it, because he was kind of like, he acted like he was dumb, but he was really intelligent. Yeah, he's really intelligent, though, and so he would get him.
Secretly, I think Jar Jar is like that.
Oh God,
that's a theory out there actually. Like
and
he's
we'll
actually he's going to show up in the third movie.
That's your theme.
Jar Jar is going to show up as the new Sith Lord. He's been the old Sith Lord.
I mean, imagine that. Imagine the twist of that. You thought he was the bumbling idiot. Everyone hated him because he wanted you to hate him.
Right.
All the fans would just be blown away and be like, Jar Jar's the best character ever because he fooled everybody.
Oh Lord.
Even George Lucas.
No, he said no. That would look good on look good as a toy. That's what he said.
There's literally, have you seen behind the scenes of the Phantom Menace when they're making it? And there's the storyboards, and it has Jar Jar holding this globe. It's not in the movie.
Right.
And George Lucas says Jar Jar is the key to all of this.
Right. I thought he meant just in the animation, but
I think George had something set up, but then the fans outlashed him. It was like George should have stuck with it.
But then George said,
That would've been
I'm
the
gonna
ultimate
make the fans
joke.
even I'm gonna
He
piss the
would've hit
fans
the
off
fans,
even more, and put them in Clone Wars,
Yeah.
which he put him in Clone Wars for like 3 or 4 episodes, and some episodes were just about him.
What if Jar Jar is Plagueis?
That's what people have said. There's a
Plagueis.
go on YouTube.
Plagueis.
There's a theory, and it's pretty convincing. It is very
yeah, I watched
convincing.
that. I was forced to watch that.
I love that kind of stuff. Dude, I'm all in for stuff like that. Where you... Because imagine it. People have bagged on him, hated that movie. Instantly that movie becomes 10 times better because then you're like, I get it now.
I feel horrible for the actor that played him.
Right.
That's who I should get.
There we go.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm not talking about anything. But you guys know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Our secret.
Dang.
You're welcome.
And that's the end of our podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah.
Actually, we're at 45. Everybody satisfied with...
I kind of like this. Want to keep going. It's fun.
Anything else to say? You gotta study.
Yeah. I had one thing, it was still in the video game, I was just going to ask, what would it be a video game? Because I'm sure everyone's played a game, right? Video game. Which one you would, if you had wanted to adapt to a film, which one would you kind of choose? And mine would be the Halo Reach story.
That's a good one.
About the team, and it would be kind of like a Saving Private Ryan feel.
Right.
And I think it could be really well done because, you guys know how Reach ends, right?
Yeah.
When he's fighting.
I mean, he doesn't, but I do.
You know how he's fighting them all at the end.
Mhm.
Imagine doing that in a film. I think you get audiences to really feel that, the main character fighting it, so Chief and the troops
Right.
and humanity can survive. Like I just thought it'd be so powerful.
Right. I was sort of with you with the Halo stuff because I love ODST and that'd be a fun one. But I think honestly, I'd like to do a Splinter Cell movie.
Splinter Cell.
I would really like to do that.
I'm
I remember
surprised
watching. I used to watch.
I know.
My dad
That's-
played those.
Yeah, I
My
love
dad would play those on
those.
PS2.
I love that stuff and that just sort of like secret mission stuff.
It's actually a good idea too.
It'd be kind of fun.
That would work. That'd be well
Cat?
rounded.
Got nothing more.
Pac-Man?
I'm pretty. Oh yeah, Pac-Man. There we go.
I don't know.
Hey, they're making
They
Sonic
did
the Hedgehog.
animated
so.
series. Huh?
Loved Pixels.
Yeah, Pixels.
I didn't see Pixels. Did you?
It wasn't that bad.
Was it alright?
It wasn't great,
I've heard
but it
a
wasn't
lot
that
It's
about
not
bad.
that bad, but I hated it because I can see what it could be.
Right.
Because
Right.
like
It's
at
so
the
annoying.
at the end when they're fighting them all in the city,
Mhm.
it's not really that long, and I'm just
Right.
thinking that should have been the whole movie.
Where they have the
Right.
different colored cars though, and it's like the little.
Yeah, that was
ghosts,
fun.
and that's
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
fun.
But it's funny we bring that up. That's kind of where I got.
Probably stream it. It's probably going to be on Netflix, I would imagine, if it's not already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually might be, but it just there's so much potential you could have
Right.
done with pixels and arcade monsters.
I was pleasantly surprised with Ready Player One. It felt like an Amblin movie a little bit. Part of it. Very commercialized Amblin movie, but anyway. Cool. I guess this is it.
I guess this is it.
And tune in next time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll hopefully have another episode next week. And since I haven't posted these and made them public yet, you're going to have a lot of binging to do if you want to do this series. Okay, bye-bye.